All right. Hi, everybody. I am Coach Dennis Stoika. Welcome once again to our Modern Warriors podcast, where we always are bringing on like-minded people. Said to myself, we're going to start bringing on more doctors as well, like Dr. Mickra Hamilton that we have here today, in addition to MDs and things of that nature, to continue talking about health and wellness issues, how it applies to being 1% better every day in every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, et cetera. We can go on and on. Let's just get started. Dr. Mickra Hamilton is a retired colonel, unbelievable, former human performance subject matter expert for the United States Air Force. After decades of helping others improve their performance, she shifted her focus inward to transform her own health following a life-changing wake-up call that she had. Today, she's a leading expert on exponential human performance, combining functional physiology, epigenetics, and consciousness work to help high performers push beyond their limits and redefine what's possible. The Coherence Effect, the book right here that I have next to me, is Dr. Hamilton's first book. We'll be discussing a little bit of the book today with her and who she is and so much more. Dr. Hamilton, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Dennis. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So the first question I love asking, and you said you watched at least one of my podcasts. So I start everybody out. It's one of the questions I use in my coaching. So it's a little bit different on how I focused the question today for you, but what's the story? Because you mentioned there's a story behind a shift to change your focus, right? And how can it help others, or I should say, what's your why, your purpose, your passion, and your principles too? So kind of a little bit two-part there, right? That's how I always start out. What's your purpose, passion, and principles? No different than I treat any other client, because I think it's important for us to know who you are, what's going on.
Okay, you want story first or Persian Pappas?
Let's do the story. Let's do the story. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was born into a blue collar, very hardworking family. I was joyful, dancing and singing, and it was not a house where children were heard. And so the upbringing was very concrete in that love meant that there was food on the table and a roof over the head. I so knew that I would get out and make something of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always had this perception of a limitless nature, that humans are limitless. And how do we unlock or awaken the skill sets that demonstrate that? And so, of course, I thought I was smarter than everybody else. Went to college while I was in high school, got the 2-year degree when I graduated high school, and then did an early master's. And I just knew that the world would be a place where adventure and joy and service could really interconnect in a way of coherence. And, you know, it was interesting. I went into the Air Force and got the most incredible training, while at the same time I got on the Air Force triathlon team at Lackland Air Force Base. And we got to do duty by going to races and basically, you know, punishing the body to prove how amazing it is and what it can handle. And of course, what often happens is I pushed way too hard. And by the time I was 40, the body broke. And I had to have reconstruction surgery, 6 weeks in bed. I could only go to the bathroom and back. So it was taking a performer who was in the top percent and sidelining her. I had no idea who I was, what I was here for. I realized I was living a very conditioned life, like, you know, the hamster on the wheel.
Are you referencing the whole thing, Mickra, with regard to the working hard to getting injured and then not knowing where you are, or after? Okay, not just
Yeah,
after the injury. Yep.
right. The
Yep. Just the hamster
perfectionism.
wheel. This is what I'm doing day after day, right?
Mhm.
I military life, moving my way up the ladder to a colonel, continuing the education, doing these hard things, right? Triathlete, marathoner, the athleticism that's involved, right? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so that was
I'm kind of feeling right. That's maybe part of um, moving beyond the environment, perhaps, right? How you dealt with the physical, emotional, spiritual issues of being raised as a child.
well, and I didn't deal with anything other than the physical. And so when the realization came that I had no idea why I was here or who I was,
Mm-hmm.
there was a question that arose, and it was, what if everything I think I know isn't in the way I think it? And what it felt like was putting that question mark into the field began to, um, I guess the best way to say it, began a trajectory of new awareness
Mm-hmm.
and recognition that I didn't feel emotions, that I intellectualized them. And what did that mean? And I didn't feel my body because I had pounded it so much into the ground that it just got used to the signals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I've been on a journey, as we all are,
Mm-hmm.
um, for many years. At 40, the surgery was enough of a wake up call that I said, I am going to optimize. I'm going to take the 26 things that I do for other people off the list. I'm going to leave one thing on the list for me, and that was working out. And I'm going to see what else wants to be here. And by the end of the year, I was sarcopenic. So I didn't have enough muscle. I was osteopenic. My bones were weakening at 40. By the end of 1 year, the optimization program that I did, I gained 18 pounds of muscle, lost 18 pounds of fat, was exactly the same size, and had 15 years of perfect, like optimized health, creativity, flow, everything was moving along beautifully. And then COVID came, and there was a series of storms, that I made decisions that
Mm-hmm.
created environmental impacts on top of emotional impacts. And I found myself once again in this place differently. Um, and so what happened for me was when I was able to get to that level of optimization in 1 year, I knew that the clients would also get there if they had, 30
Mm-hmm.
days of really good progress with data that showed them how much they had achieved. And by 90 days, they were just on their way. And by a year, they were at their, I call it a longevity set point, where it's a youthful state that's thriving, that's curious, that's looking at the world through innocence and not skepticism. And so my partner and I joined our two companies and started complex systems health, where we look at the person as one whole,
Mm-hmm.
and that one whole is interconnected and interrelated to the planet as a whole. And so the reductionist breaking apart of pieces um, now has a new way of looking at health and well-being. And when
Mm-hmm.
all aspects are optimized, there is access to the awareness that we are, that reveals such different, like almost different worldviews begin to line up
Mm-hmm.
because we see more and more of what is possible.
And has this brought you to, I'm assuming, a new you, a new who you are, new why, purpose, passion, and principles then? Because
Yeah.
it can change, right? We
Yeah.
are not, you are not the person you were when you came into the Air Force in year one, right? You are not the same person today that when you were 40, right? We do change it a little bit. And I also believe that we can have more than one purpose in life too, right? So I can have a purpose really for my business. I can have a purpose for home, or purpose for a passion that I have too, right? But tell us a little bit then about who you are, and then right now, what it looks like, and purpose and passion behind the business and what we're doing here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll go back to what it was at
Mhm.
40, which was me. Had to focus on my health to regenerate and restore thriving signals so that I could serve,
Mhm.
um, which was felt effortless and easy.
Mhm.
What I didn't realize at that time was, although I believed I was working for everyone,
Mhm.
there was still so much egoic development that was happening, and I couldn't see the places where, um, like, I would do something and I didn't know I was doing it for a reason that benefited myself. So what happened in the timing was identities dropping away and conditioning being just dissolved, and new awarenesses. And once I saw
Mhm.
the truth of the planet's peril, and that the human species is the species creating this, I fully felt sick. I felt sick
Mhm.
because I needed to feel it so that I could understand I was complicit with it, and I could take action towards something that we know we've done for 18 years. We know how powerful it
Mhm.
is to regenerate the human system, to reverse disease,
Mhm.
to be optimized.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that is a heart mind felt calling
Mhm. Awesome. That,
where mhm.
that's a, I want to just point something out to being a coach and yourself too with clients, right? We eat, and I'll use the term from the military, so sorry, right? But we eat our own dog shit. So we do what we preach, right? And awareness is the first premise, right? I have to be aware that I have issue, where are my thoughts, et cetera, moving forward, and spend time with that. So as yourself, as we both do with clients, right? We do with ourselves. You did with yourself, to look inward to find who you are, what's going on in your life, right? The purpose, the passion, the principles, things of that nature. I think that leads me really then to moving on to, you talked a little bit about the 18 years of practice, and how things have changing, and what you did. Um, our current health model is built on acute conditions, emergencies, short-term fixes. I think that this is the United States health model. For chronic, complex, evolving health issues, right? Our system is failing people in the United States. We go to doctors, specialists, coaches, therapists. We take supplements, prescriptions. We're chasing trends, biohacks, right? We're looking for that next nice shiny thing. But often people are still not well. And I'd like to talk about the rethinking health, and the rise of the systems based well-being that you mentioned. What's the new paradigm of holistic systems health?
Yeah, it's what the ancients taught, that life, everything in life
Mhm.
informs health. Where we send our consciousness, if
Mhm.
we are doom scrolling and watching things that show that the world is in fear, we will be in fear.
Mhm.
Our health declines from that fear.
Yes, yes.
And, we basically create what we believe, what we've been conditioned to believe. And that started with Rene Descartes in I think, therefore I am.
Mm-hmm.
body mind split. It
Mm-hmm.
also started in religion with the male female sin. Like, we're born into here believing that we are sinful creatures who cannot redeem themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's not whole as a part of a whole.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely right. It's a completely opposite sort of expression, and we see that in everything, in finances, in politics, in health. The mainstream refuses to believe that there's anything other than its proven scientific p-hacked research
Mm-hmm.
that is necessary for the system to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And often, people say, when I say, what do you need to heal? They'll say, I need to quit my job. I need to leave my marriage. They know what they need to do.
Yeah.
But
Yet they're not doing it a lot of times, right? Often not. You mentioned, I believe in your book, it's also a framework, right, that integrates biology, psychology, spirituality, our environment, and energy, right, into a unified model of care. So basically, nothing is disconnected; it's all connected to our health and wellness.
it's all connected, and it's connected by the one system in the human system that's both voluntary and involuntary, which is the breath.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's where we focus on all of them because the clients know where they need to take small action to make
Mm-hmm.
big gains. But the breath is often high in the chest, activating the chemoreceptors at the top, which are sympathetic receptors, activating the muscles, which fire the muscles every time we breathe. And often the CO2 is not enough left in the body to deliver all of the oxygen that's in the system. And so we have brain fog. We go from executive skills, we react, amygdala hijack.
Mm-hmm.
And the breath is the one thing that we all can work with to stay in awareness, to make a choice, to pause, and to really come through in clarity, and not react and pop off and harm those we love.
Mm-hmm. One of my coaches, it was a specific breath coach. I don't know, just sits with me, right? It's the first thing that we do when we come into this world. It's the last thing we do when we leave, right? I don't know how to say it any more simple, yet impactful, right? It's amazing regulation of our body, emotion, and helps us physically. It is an amazing thing, and everyone really should be doing breath work. If you're not out there doing breath work, right?
It's free. I mean,
It's free.
HeartMath
It's free.
Institute research. It's really true on HRV, and
Yeah.
it's the number one biomarker for all mortality, death. And so if we all pay
Mhm.
attention to our HRV through our
Yep.
breath, right? We
Mhm.
also oxygenate the brain. If we
Mhm.
sleep well at night, we clean that
Mhm.
system, the
Yeah.
lymphatic system.
Yeah.
Is the simple things.
Moving on. You referenced 6 domains of holistic systems health. I'll list them out here. It's the physical, psychological, social, environmental, spiritual, and energetic. Um, Again, nothing disconnected, all connected together. Can you maybe, when I sit down with my clients, I have pillars as well, and we schedule out like an integrated training plan. It encompasses all these things. I'm making sure the clients are working within all. I call them domains as well. You have 6 domains. I'm gonna combine some of them together, but they're still all in there, right? How do you, when you work with a client, how are you combining these? Mhm. How do you
Well,
make sure? Mhm.
what I do first is I have a conversation with them about the paradigm,
Mhm.
of the model that we're using, holistic systems health. Many have not understood those areas of life to contribute
Mhm.
to health, and yet the research is there. And so as I describe it to them, I ask them a question of, if you brought your 12-month self here right now, what would be success for you? What would have meaning
Mm-hmm.
that you would know that the things that you wanted to achieve were achieved? And what's interesting is the question hasn't been contemplated before. And so as we're going through that session, they bring up things and they have new realizations in these different domains, some that are really empowering, where they know they're doing well, and then others where they may not be doing anything
Mm-hmm.
in 2 or 3 of them, that if they just moved one of them in a small way with consistent action, could cascade through the whole system,
Mm-hmm.
and health improves and happiness improves. And so we begin there with it's a wellness intention call. And then I have a way of connecting with them that feels deeply compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
And I can read, it feels like I can read the motivations that are going to best work with them based on, are they data driven, and they have to see the data and they have to feel it and see it. Are they more intuitive, and how to language that in a way that they can
Mm-hmm.
recognize that they are. And then my partner gets on with them with a very detailed health and lifestyle assessment that are open-ended questions where we
Mm-hmm.
encourage them to write what it is that they are experiencing. And from that, there's a mutual co-creation of what are the testing that we need to really know what's happening across that human system.
Mm-hmm.
And once the test results all come in, they're advanced tests that, look at metabolomics and, telomeres, genetics, epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
And once we have that, we've developed over the years, we've been working with AI for many years, and we've developed a collaborative AI that is trained in holistic systems health. And that puts together all of the upstream and downstream effects and gives priorities of what is most important to optimize first. So if you have inflammation, the inflammation has to come down. If you have metabolic issues, that has to change for
Mm-hmm.
the system to be able to make much traction physically.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just go, whatever the priority is. And then the places that, like energy is a really big one now.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have vibrant mitochondria to allow this human system to be at its top energy, to do what we want to do, to be efficient in what we're creating. Um, and so I think when they realize that their entire life contributes to health and well-being,
Mm-hmm.
it takes them from this, I go to the doctor to get pills, to, oh, I actually can do the things that create the causes and condition
Mm-hmm.
for regenerative reversal of disease.
100%. 100%. The so you mentioned assessment, right? Great place to start with people. I do assessments as well in my coaching program, and then I also have I put together a training plan, what I refer to as integrated training plan. So I think the next question I have maybe leads into the next piece after assessment, which maybe is kind of like my integrated training plan, right? And so, but from your book, this isn't woo woo, right? Things that you're doing are rooted in systems biology, um, psychoimmunology, epigenetics, clinical and neuroscience. With the power of epigenetics, right? We are not our genes necessarily, right? we're the architect of their expression, right? Of their expression. And in other words, DNA is not necessarily our destiny. So what I was maybe born with is not necessarily my doom and gloom, right? And then how we can redesign this future to activate our epigenetic power. And you're doing that through a few things that I'll list out here. Breath work, right? Breath is that first medicine. You've already mentioned that, right? So slow nasal diaphragmatic breathing, you mentioned that already. But nourishing to our inform, right? Food is data for us, right? Every bite sends information to our genes and into our body, things that we're eating, putting in our body, right? To move forward. Also, sleep. Our life depends on it, right? One of those, I'm guilty. Like lots of and I know I'm going to have people watching this too, right? There are multiple things in here that we all know we can improve on, right? Sleep is one of those, right? Deep sleep is extremely important. It repairs our DNA, right? We take in that time to clean our cells, waste product of our cells while we're sleeping. Moving wisely, right? Hence not punishing your body like you mentioned, still having an exercise program but not overkilling it. Also guilty at times from the military and things that a lot of CrossFit athletes, people that are really those 1% per persons that are pushing those bodies, right? Feeling your way through life a little bit, reconnecting with meaning. We can do that multiple different types of ways too. Being aware of our thoughts, again, that awareness and rewiring through repetition, right? This list, which I've taken from your book, is this kind of like the training program? Are you have the strategies, tools, and practices for people in order to be able to do these things?
Right. And they're all custom designed for each individual because we're all unique. One of the things that has become very powerful in our process is egoic development. The developmental models of what happens, in the grandmother's eggs that were carrying mine. What happens when my mother carried me? Was she stressed? My grandmother, her husband died on Normandy, and she was devastated and depressed. And interesting, my eggs were in my grandmother. And so, what are the things that, if you said transgenerational, so the ancestors within us activating without us having any idea they're activating, the family we're born into, if you're born into a loving, kind family who provided for all your needs, you generally feel pretty safe. Of course, trauma can happen at any time, but you see the world through a lens of love, demonstrated and felt. And when that wasn't there, perhaps intellectualized until it was known from the interior. And so the egoic development allows us to show clients that before 18 months, we're all of it. We haven't individuated into an ego. And then 18 to 24 months, we do. And our environment, the people we're around, the energetics that are there, the food quality, the pesticides, like everything that we've been exposed to conditions us to become who we think we are,
or who we think we are. Yes.
in identity, right? And it often takes something like, failure, bankruptcy, death, divorce, health decline to get real with what truly matters.
It's unfortunate, isn't it? That lots of us in our life, we do find out exactly that from hardship, right? From hardship, or we're taking a second look maybe at, and maybe it's not that we weren't wrong necessarily. We thought we're on a path of doing something right? But then we have something that happens to us that just makes us refocus, right? And look at again what's most important to us in our life.
And I see that as a gift.
Mhm.
I have always had this perception that life is working in my favor. I think Rumi had a quote about that. And that's what I chose. And it felt very real. And I felt like I was contributing.
Mhm.
As each new awareness comes, I approach it with deep compassion and inner love, and I forgive myself and ask for forgiveness for the the unawareness that we all function under.
Awesome. You also talk about the domains, 6 domains: physical, psychological, social, environmental, spiritual, and energetic. And I want to, for time purposes, right? Your book, there's so much free stuff out there, right? And I promote community, I promote coaching. We're going to get to how people can find out more about you and reach out to you, et cetera, to you, right? But energetic, right? Grounding. I hear more and more people about, getting grounding mats for the house, pads that step on, the pads that they sleep with, right? Making sure we're taking our shoes off, walking outside, doing breath work, right? Having a daily shake, which, things that are good for us, right? And again, sunlight therapy, these things are free, right? There is so much free out there that we can be doing. Spirituality, right? Taking moments of gratitude, right? There's something huge that I try to instill always with client and myself, right? Being very thankful for like 3 things that I'm thankful for this week, or whatever it might be, right? So practices that maybe we I'm sure you have, or you have assist clients with too, right? Journaling, part of that, spirituality as well, environmental work, right? Opening your windows to improve natural sense. We can go on and on here, unplugging the routers, if you will, right? To not have an EMF load in your house, right? And so again, so much stuff. The types of candles that you mentioned, even, right? That like to how what they're made of, right? Even so, social, past for reconnection, psychological, and again, physical, right? Aging is not a sentence; it's an invitation. I love it. It's a quote from you in your book there, right? Because it's going to happen to all of us, and it is an invitation to. I believe, again, continue to push forward, and it's our best version of ourselves tomorrow. It's our best version of ourselves next month, right? And next year, etc. Because we are all aging and moving forward with maybe different purpose, or realizing from hardship or not what my real focus is in life. What else do you have to say with regards to domains?
Well, what it feels like to me is we're all being asked to be fully in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Not nostalgic about the past and dreaming about the future, because the energy in this now moment is truly, right, the only energy. And to ask the questions, is this action, thought, word, whatever it is, contributing to what I say and believe I want to contribute to the world?
There's so many issues or things that could happen to, whether it's a death of someone and they can't move on, they continue to stay in the past, right? Soak in. I can't think of the right way I want to present that, but they're not happy people, right? We stay with blocked mentally. Maybe because of a hardship sometimes in our life, because of whatever, loss of a child, loss of a spouse, could be a couple of them, right? And not to minimize those things, but that's getting people stuck, right? It could be loss of a job. It could be any type of hardship, right? And we're not moving forward. We're not moving on. How does that affect these things, like, are us and our health and wellness?
Well, generally when people are not moving on, they somewhere don't want to, or one part wants to and the other refuses. And it's that separation again, that we can be separate from everything. It isn't possible. And so that's where the wholeness, if the entire human system can see the wholeness of it, it's not a challenge to change your mood, right? That music can take you to epic places, but are we listening to music that's incredibly depressing? because we like the way that feels.
It feels. You like the way it feels. Yep.
And are we, you know, Dr. David Hawkins, a psychiatrist, did a scale of consciousness, and it has where humanity is. And when you're in victim, until you have the courage or get angry enough to come out of victim, you can be the most dangerous thing on the planet.
For yourself and others.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know that someone outside of you is doing something to you and you have a right to revenge.
Mm-hmm.
This is a large part of the population, and that is counterbalanced by science and love for the people who embody fully, open their hearts, can see this wholeness and choose over and over again to be consistent, to have a congruent life. And that counterbalances, you know, the righteous victim.
I want to move then to discussing personalized support and for people's transformations, working with you. Kind of recap a little bit too, right? So it's a whole genomic sequencing you're looking at, right? Understanding inherited predispositions from testing the assessments that you guys do, the epigenetic assessments, looking at how lifestyle, stress, and the environment is impacting ourselves, the functional lab work that you referenced, metabolomics, inflammation markers, right? Nutrient absorption profiles, right? Making sure our gut is working, gut analysis as well. And then a bunch of other just functional panels that we're looking at as well, right? So again, we're looking at whole body, right? Whole body again, which not everyone's doing this, right? People can get a coach, people can want to work with a coach, but I truly believe that we are definitely in an age now. Even if you're not offering this as a coach yourself, you need to be working with a doctor or someone that is offering other things. So someone is also working on not just a topic or a goal, right? They're working on their whole self, right? And because kind of without these things that you guys are doing, you're not working on that whole body, right? I'm working on maybe. Again, you can work on domains, right? But I'm not getting a full measurement. I'm not getting a full assessment of who I am and what I need unless I do some labs and things of this nature that you guys do. Whether that's supplementation to detoxify the body, and it's beyond pills too, not just supplements, right? That we're talking about. It's not just pills that we're talking about in our life too, well beyond that. But a lot of our society wants the pill from the doctor, right? And they have to understand that that's not what we're here for. But there are other things today that people are trying, right, with peptides, exosomes, things of this nature too. Not all of it's tried and true. Not all of it is. Some of it's still being studied. Psychedelics, I know you're big into that as well, to assist with spirituality, insight, things of that nature, right? Anything else you'd like to talk about with kind of what I just summed up as far as the assessments, things of that nature, what people are doing with regards to that personalized support from you guys?
Sure. What it feels like is as the clients see the baseline of the now, and they recognize that they have the power to make small changes across domains that really amplify into big systems-wide changes. With that level of granularity, we're able to, or the doctors, MDs, are able to set up advanced procedures, that really move the marker. Like, we use hyperbaric oxygen, red light bed. We have apheresis or plasmapheresis, where you take off a liter of plasma that has the aging signals and you replace it with albumin and saline, so you have clean plasma. We have EBU, which is extra blood oxygenation ozonation, that takes the blood from one arm, puts it through a filter, oxygenates, ozonates, and then red lights it. It's basically both of those procedures are like changing the oil in the car,
Yeah.
and cleaning it up. And often what we find is a 50% decline in, levels that were off the charts.
Mhm.
And they didn't have to do the chelation and the stuff that really tears the body down.
Mhm.
And so the advanced strategies are available. They're just not available to the mainstream because, right, they're
They're not doing
expensive
it. People aren't doing
and
it.
the insurance, right, and the
Mhm.
insurance won't pay it.
Yeah. So I can kind of maybe refer to that as the roadmap then, right? For someone like to identify what's needed and what you guys provide. You have a roadmap for their health. Starts with a genetic report, epigenetic dashboard that you guys have, right? Looking at diet, stress, sleep, things of that nature, right? Lab work, the cellular lab work that's getting done. Energetic testing. You mentioned that with regards to using kinesiology, biofeedback to assess the body, right? System mapping, understanding emotional states, et cetera, right? All that is done within your company. So we're already short on time. Great job wrapping things up. I think some of this might be confusing for people because it's new to them, right? It's because I think Dr. Hamilton, I think it's a little bit beyond what some are already getting from just their doctor visits that they go every year, right? Regular doctors are not doing this. If you're getting a coach with regards to being like myself, 1% better every day in every way, right? Like I said too, more and more I'm needing to work with doctors like you and others to do other testing to make sure that we're working on the whole system as well, right? How can someone get a hold of you guys, give you a call, get in touch, learn more, and come see you?
So our company is a Apeiron Center. It's APEIRONCENTER.com.
Mhm.
And Apeiron means limitless. It's Greek, that which comes from the source and returns to the source.
Mhm.
And so
Awesome.
we really believe in the limitless nature of humans, and
Very good.
that's
All
what we're
right.
working for.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate it. Everybody, I'm going to ask you just to hold on for a moment, right? As I kick off here, I want to appreciate everyone for being here. Please go onto that website. I will list that website on everything that's posted as well. We greatly appreciate you for being here. Please get the book, learn about it more. There is more for us to do for ourselves. It starts with reading the book, The Coherence Effect, too. You will definitely learn some things here about yourself, about your body, about your being, right? Spiritual, mental, emotionally, etc., that we can improve on. And if you're wanting to know more, look at the website and reach out to Dr. Hamilton. Hey, until next time, everybody, you know the deal. Train hard, train safe, right? Train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life. Take care, everybody.